All right, so how to increase intelligence, improve communication, and hopefully decrease conflict. So one thing I've noticed over the years is that in communication, in relationship with other human beings, a lot of us tend to focus on whether we agree or disagree with something rather than actually focusing on hearing and focusing on genuinely understanding what is being said, or what is being meant, what is being communicated. Because the vast majority of the time, what is said is very often quite different than what is actually heard by the other person. And what is heard is usually quite different from what is actually understood and taken deeply by that other person. And typically what usually happens is a person hears something that reminds them of something that they already think, feel, know, or believe. And then they assume because that sounds, looks, or smells similar that it must be the same thing and that must be what that means or what that is. And then from there, they react to whether they agree or disagree with that, meaning whether or not it supports their self-image in a positive or negative way. Meaning, does that make them feel good or make them feel bad? So usually if it makes them feel good, then they're kind of on board and there's some small degree of rapport and back and forth and whatever. And if it makes them feel bad, then of course you have conflict, you have drama, you have disagreement, you have all these different things. So basically, mechanically speaking, what you're left with is a person expressing their emotional reaction to their misunderstanding of whatever was actually presented to them, and then calling that communication, calling that an opinion, or calling that a response, or whatever it might be in that context. And if any of that sounds at all foreign or weird or inaccurate, what I would suggest is just as a personal experiment to start looking at your own behavior, your own communication, and your own relationships. How often does this exact dynamic occur? How often are people genuinely focusing on understanding and hearing versus just agreeing or disagreeing or putting forth whatever they already think, feel, or believe? And then looking, when we do experience conflict, looking to see if these dynamics are at play. And then asking ourselves how much time, how much energy, how much focus, how much are we actually putting on listening, hearing, and most importantly, actually understanding. And again, if this sounds like a weird or foreign concept, go on any online forum, any social media website, and look at the comments. And how often do the comments actually line up with what the person is actually saying? Rarely. Versus how much is it just a person sharing their own emotionally reactive misunderstanding? Frequently. But specifically with YouTube, I'll use this as an example. I would notice a trend in the comments where whether people were positive and praising whatever the video was, or they were negative and usually personally attacking me, because 99.9% of the time that's what it is. It's not, I disagree with this because of why. It's, you're fill in the blank, or you're this kind of person, and all of this emotionally reactive stuff. So what I realized is the commonality between those two things is that the vast majority of the time, neither of those things actually corresponded or related to what I actually said, what I actually meant, what was actually being communicated, either explicitly or implicitly. Both people were just reacting emotionally to their misunderstanding or interpretation of whatever I was saying, and then giving that back to me. So that's something that I saw as a trend, and doing YouTube videos, making 500 videos, and 500 videos each get 100, 200 comments. You start to develop, and you see patterns, you see trends, and then teaching classes and communicating with people. And you can really just see how poorly people can hear information a lot of the time, and how distorted what people actually hear is, and then how limited what they actually understand is.